Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Easy Peasy Show. I'm Zach. I'm here with my co-host Peyton. Today is August 28th of 2023. And it was a nice little weekend. Football is officially back. It felt good, even though there were some pretty disgusting games out there, some pretty disgusting plays. Um, Still enjoyable. I mean, who cares? Like I said, football is back. And then obviously UFC. Um, awesome as always. We had to wake up early. It was worth it. I was in and out for some of the fights, just like some of the fighters.
Mm.
But I was awake for the main event. That's all I really cared about. And boy, was it worth it. If you'd like, Peyton, we can start with the UFC recap.
Yeah,
Might
absolutely.
be might be the easier thing to cover. We'll roll through that really quick, and then we can discuss our thoughts on some of the games, some of the college football games this weekend.
Can't wait.
Such a sick thing to say. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get started with UFC Singapore. Great crowd as always. Like I said, it's always the international is always just they always you know bring the heat, and it's just they're always so into it. And I don't blame them. It's kind of like whenever Premier League soccer comes to the United States. I mean, it's always like a huge crowd, and everyone gets really into it, just because not accustomed to having that. But and then obviously a bunch of home fighters for them, I guess if you will, ranging from Korea to Japan to I'm not sure if there were actually any Chinese fighters fighting or not. I don't think they were.
I don't
There
believe
were
so.
no, there was Na Liang.
Oh, duh,
Um,
duh. I forget
yeah,
about her
but
sometimes.
yeah. Anyways, bunch of like I said, a bunch of support for all the fighters too. It wasn't like an American walked down, they started booing. I mean, dude, they were going crazy for anyone who walked out, and it was awesome to see. But we can roll through the prelims really quick, and then stop and talk about any fights that we liked in particular. I really don't care. We'll get started though. Sung Woo Choi versus John Aaron's. Choi and Aaron's went the full 15 minutes, got brought to decision, and Choi won via unanimous decision. I'm not sure. Did he win 29-28?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I think I may have missed stuff. Yeah, I did. I did. I purposely slept in an extra 20 minutes, and I just made sure I was awake for the Aljamain fight. I was going to be there no matter what. But
Yeah. Man, I don't know. Props to the European and Asian and just people across the world that watch UFC. It's tough, dude.
they got to do this every
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 week.
I mean, every weekend, or any weekend they're interested in watching.
Man,
Just think about it. You're a European fan, so or like Australia too. I mean, it's like hardly any of their champions fight in their time zone. So like, you want to like support your guy. He's like, okay, at 3 a.m. they fight. Oh, I mean,
golly, man.
it's terrible. I mean, I'm sure they can stay up on it. I'm sure they have no problem with it, but I couldn't imagine.
It killed me.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But we can move on to the next fight. The one I was kind of excited for, JJ Aldrich versus Na Liang, and it was a very entertaining. Like I said, first like 3 minutes, very competitive, and then after that, really wasn't. JJ Aldrich got the ground and pound KO against an exhausted Liang, as expect as expected. And it's always funny watching her fight, man. It's just it's a great sight to see. So it's like I want to hate her, but I can't just because it's just funny. It's just funny. And it's like watching giraffes fight. Like sure it seems brutal or like it sounds brutal and it looks, but it looks funny. It's one of
Yeah.
those things.
It's like this can't be a real thing. This is not how they fight.
Yeah, no, it's really see a Chinese fighter like her, just like you saw. So I mean, I don't know. Um. Anyways, I'll move on to the next fight. Billy Goff versus Yusaka Kinoshita. Um.
You suck.
I mean, I think that's what Billy Goff said to him as he knocked him out. But I say knocked him out, but I think it
Got
was a
knocked out.
TKO. Did he get knocked out? I thought it was like a
Wait,
liver shot.
oh no, 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 I'm sorry. I thought I predicted golf to win. I was just going through my predictions, and I said, "Oh yeah, I got that one wrong," but forgot that I predicted Kinoshita to win that one. My mistake.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, Billy Golf wins. Pretty nice shot to the I can't remember his liver, the solar plexus. Either way, it can't shit to collapse to the ground. He's able to get the ground and pound finish. Very entertaining fight. I don't think Golf was ever rocked like I thought he would be. I think there's a couple times it was close, but he stayed on his feet a lot better than he usually does, and he was able to catch Kinoshita slipping. Surprised. I mean, it was pretty close to the time for like the 3 minutes it was a fight, but hey, congrats to Billy Goff. He only has 2 losses on his record. He's still climbing up. Can't wait for his next fight. Personally, think he's a very exciting fighter to watch.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Excited for his future. See what he can do.
Yeah, it should be. Like I said, he's gonna be one of those fighters that just always puts on a very entertaining fight, no matter what, because he's either getting people out of there, especially now. I mean, he was able to knock out Kinoshita. That's very impressive. Um, so I say knock him out, but he was able to.
Yeah, TKO.
Yeah, he was able to get him down the ground via a punch. But moving on to the next fight, Keenan Song versus Rolando Bedoya. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. I figured if it'd go the distance, it'd be Bedoya all day. But to Song's advantage, he was able to land the more powerful shots. And like I said, Bedoya just eats them and smiles, but that didn't really look good to the judges because there's a few times he was just like wobbling around. And yeah, sure enough, the judges kind of saw that and gave the decision to Keenan Song. So good for Keenan Song. I think he's the biggest underdog Saturday to win. Now, I know he's a pretty decent sized underdog. I know a lot of people are on Bedoya, and for good reason, but Song was able to come out there and do his thing. Was able to get the win via decision.
Yep, big shocker, but I mean, you'll have those in the UFC from time to time. So
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to the next prelim, Mikhail versus Chidi. I'm not going to bother with either last names. This is one, sadly, I think I fell back asleep for, or one of the ones, I quote unquote rested my eyes for.
yeah,
But, oh, that's interesting. This fight and the next fight ended at the exact same time. Anyways, knockout ground and pound for Mikhail gets his win. And what was I think this fight was a pick 'em. I think maybe Mikhail maybe started pulling away via the odds makers. Yeah, it was an interesting fight, I guess. Like I said, I didn't really watch it, but I'm glad there was a finish nonetheless. I feel like that was kind of one of the more surefire things. Maybe I'm not sure, but good for McCall. Hopefully, Chidi can bounce back. Like I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Chidi and Jaquani, but yeah, I don't know. Recess, I guess.
yeah. I'm in the same boat as you. Kind of rested my eyes for this fight. So sad, as sad as it is, it was
Yeah,
put me through the
yeah,
ringer.
yeah. This fight in the next two, I was kind of in and out of it. I just had the TV waking me up because, like I said, I think all of these had finishes. So, like, the TV woke me up for all of them. Yeah, pretty much. And then, so the next fight, like I said, finished at the same exact time, 4:16 in round one. Garrett Armfield defeated Yoshiyama Kazama, which pretty surprised. Like I said, I didn't see the fight, so I'm really not sure what happened, but it's kind of surprising to see that. Oh, I mean, no, not really, actually. I think this fight was supposed to be pretty even. I think I was just a little bit higher in Kazama, and he ended up losing. Oh well. Womp womp.
Did you just say womp womp?
All I'm saying.
Mm,
But
womp.
yeah, all there is to that fight. Oh, you have any thoughts about it, Peyton? We'll move on to the next one.
Just keep it going.
All right, and then creeping up as the featured prelim, we have Walter Cortez Acosta, who went up against Lucas Bresky,
Luca
and
Brasi.
yep, and Cortez Acosta was actually able to get a knockout. I was pretty surprised. Usually, I'm not really used to seeing him with that kind of power, but I believe he was able to catch Bresky pretty good. Had him stumbling around in there, looking like like a penguin who's just now learning how to walk. And sure, he was able to get him out of there, and the first round too. Nonetheless, like so, I was pretty surprised. I figured that this fight would go to decision no matter what. But Cortez Acosta actually looked pretty good in there.
Yeah, I think I texted you after the fight talking about the knockout. Said it was one of the funnier knockouts that I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Just the way he had him stumbling backwards had me. I don't know why I find these things funny, but
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't even like he was stumbling backwards. It's like he straight up just like turned around and just started tumbling towards the cage. I
yeah,
mean, he was walking forward, just away from Cortez Acosta, which yeah, like you said, is strange, funny, however you want to see it. Yeah, he was definitely in the bottom nonetheless, and he got finished. He got put out of there pretty early.
yep.
And then, speaking of put out of there pretty early, our first main card event of the night was Junior Tava versus Parker Porter. And
Mm,
I know the odds makers had this as a pick 'em, but the fight kind of went more or less how we saw it going. Under the Parker Porter bandwagon is getting smaller and smaller, unfortunately for them. I know he's a lovable guy, but he got put out of there pretty easily and pretty early, a minute and a half into the first round, I think. Or no, it was like 3.5 minutes in. No, it was a
eh,
minute and a half in. It was a
y-
minute and a half in.
okay. It didn't even seem like that long.
Yeah. Uh,
It
but
was a
yeah,
bloodbath.
Junior Taffa got his thing, got it done. Like I said, Parker Porter's chin is just unfortunately not the best in the heavyweight division, and like I said, it's a bad division to not have a good chin. So Parker Porter falls to 14-9. Junior Taffa in his young career has climbed to 5-1. So I think the Taffa hype train's growing a little bit now. I know people weren't too high on him after the Muhammad Usman fight, but like I said, he fought a similar fighter in Parker Porter, was able to get the job done, showed his power prevailed.
Yeah, I watching this fight, I mean, I kind of like him, man. I think he has a pretty bright future.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Not
I said,
saying
it's always,
champion or nothing like that, but
right, but it's always fun to watch the guys with that kind of power. I mean, he's a little bit better physique version of Todd Tuivasa. So
right.
I mean, but it is what it is. Good for Tafa, and I don't know what's next for Parker Porter, but anyways, we move on to the people's main event. Uh, Blanchfield versus Santos. With the full 15 minutes. And a very impressive showing from both of these fighters. They both had their ups, they both had their downs. Obviously, the first round, it really looked like Santos is going to run away with it. But then Blanchfield implemented her game plan to perfection. And I mean, obviously, perfection would have been her being able to get Santos on the ground. But I was impressed by Santos's takedown defense. But Blanchfield won the minutes. And I mean, that's what she does. She's a minutes winner. And I mean, she tired out Santos because when they separated in the third round and it was a fist fight again, all of a sudden Blanchfield looked like the much better fighter, only
It was
because she was
insane.
the more fresh fighter. So, yeah, very impressive showing from Blanchfield. And, like I said, I think she is going to be a future champion. And I think she showed why. She pretty soundly defeated someone who, almost won the champ, should have probably been a champion. But anyways, Blanchfield's probably up next. I'd imagine for a title shot. Maybe, I don't know. But
She wants one, I know. She called for it after the fight,
I mean,
which
she
that
she
doesn't
need
always mean anything, but
yeah, no, just ask Duplessis.
there had to be something going on with that, huh? That's just a strange situation. Like it felt like the UFC was also
Adesanya.
on that.
Well, it was until Adesanya started calling a white guy and his family, the N word left and right, and it was just like, okay, let's get him. And then like they saw, he just stood there and took it. So he's like, okay, let's get Adesanya a real trash talker
Yeah, from Sean
and
Strickland.
someone he can beat. We'll hype up the Duplessis fight even more. I don't know. But anyways, moving on to our third main card fight. Rini Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia, and what was a
Mm,
bloodbath. I say a bloodbath, but I mean it's just total domination by Nakamura. I mean he just had Garcia on the ground. Garcia looked like he was lost, and Nakamura looked like the professional he is. He's 8-0 now. He's looking stronger than ever. Freddie Garcia, very tough guy, and showed his toughness in there. He had the Mexican chin. Nakamura just couldn't get him out of there. And I was kind of surprised. I thought Nakamura's power and just finishing ability would be able to get Garcia out of there. But hey, like Garcia hung in there, and I was surprised. I was impressed. Like I said, just the matchup was definitely not in his favor. There's only so much you can do about that. Like I said, I don't think that fight should have been made in the first place, but it was, and Nakamura got it done.
yeah, that feels like one of the fights that the UFC makes when they want you to call it a career. But
But
yeah, and all joking aside, dude, Nakamura, whatever. I'm a big fan of him now after seeing him fight Saturday. Looked really good. Obviously, didn't get the finish that he probably wanted, and the UFC probably wanted him to get, but nonetheless, I mean, he was dominant, and I think he I think he could have gotten a finish. It just felt like he was trying to go after like a certain submission that time. I don't know. It was kind of a strange situation, but
Yeah, I mean,
um,
to a certain extent, he may have been using it as like a sparring practice, not really sparring, but just like some training. I guess, like you said, really trying to test out his limits, seeing what he could do. And in a 15-minute fight, he looked great. I will say that. So I mean, I'll be definitely keeping that in mind next time I call one of his fights. I mean,
absolutely,
yeah, he
and the
looked great.
cardio looks good too.
Yeah, that's what.
For a guy that hasn't fought past the first round very often.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was pretty surprising. So, like I said, it may have just been him just like straight up just testing the waters, being like, if I get a finish, cool. If not, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep doing my work here, see if I can, see if I can do what I can do. And, is Garcia obviously Garcia not that great of an opponent to do that to? Or I say that to him, it should be pretty great, pretty easy to practice, but it's not very impressive. I guess I'll say it like that.
Right. I do want to give Garcia props. I know you already did as well, but man, I mean, obviously completely overwhelmed, overmatched by a guy like Nakamura.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
Nakamura.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna get it one day. Um, but man, like he really, I don't want to say held his ground in the sense of being competitive because the fight was not competitive at all. But I think, I mean, the determination to not let that fight get finished is it's something to behold. That
Yeah,
fight had no
absolutely.
reason to not be finished.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, implied odds, but I think had that fight, like I said, 80% chance of finishing, and obviously that's just purely from the Rinya Nakamura side. But yeah, like like you said, props to Garcia, next level toughness. We already knew that about him, but I mean, even this was just such a great showing for that. For what it's worth, obviously, a pretty bad loss, but we'll take the good with the bad around here, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and Nakamura seems like a legitimate competitor at that
oh yeah,
in bantamweight.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then move on. Before we get to the co-main, we had the Giga Chikadze fight versus the Alex Caceres fight. Ended up going to decision. I don't think I was able to watch this fight. I think I was watching I was watching Formula One qualifying during this fight. But I guess I'm assuming Giga won in pretty impressive fashion. If it was a unanimous decision, I don't know if it was a 29 kind of fight or a 30 kind of fight. I think I saw some highlights of his
Uh,
kicks.
y-
Getting
y-
through Alex, and it was obviously Giga kicks. So
yeah, it was. I don't know. The first round felt pretty close. But after that, it really felt like Giga just kind of took over
did his thing.
and yeah, did his thing. I don't- He landed, Caceres landed more, but Giga was a lot more powerful, had a lot more
Hmm.
damage given. So, um, I think they gave it to him just off of that. Third round
Yeah.
was very evidently Giga's round. I believe all three judges scored it 29-28, by the way.
Okay.
Um, Caceres didn't look bad. And in the first round, you could tell he was really frustrated in Giga. But once Giga kind of settled in, I mean, it was over with. There was nothing
Mhm.
Caceres could do. Uh, it just was what it was.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is. And we'll move on to the co-main event, which ended in a split decision, favoring Lionheart Smith. Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. The second iteration, Anthony Smith is now 2-0 against Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, now a big question mark in the UFC for me. You know, as I put him in the same tier as Khalil Roundtree in terms of like, is this guy going to show up or not for his fights? So when he does, he looks awesome. When he doesn't, it's weird and just like kind of it really kind of makes, at least for me, it kind of makes my head hurt. It's like, what is this guy doing? But no, nonetheless, he got his shots in on Smith. Smith obviously did the same to Span, and it was a very very close fight, as evident by the split decision. I personally lead Span. I don't know if I was biased because I chose him or not, but I do think it really came down to that third round, and I mean, it really was a competitive fight. I think came down to that third round, and the judges gave it to Anthony Smith, which good for him. Like I said, I did think I was questioning his heart a little bit, But I guess he got out there and just did his thing. Obviously, definitely not looking like Anthony Smith of old, who challenged John Jones for the belt and was like, ooh, like did really well. This is just guess current day Anthony Smith. I mean, it just did just enough. And I guess I'm kind of surprised this fight didn't really end in a finish. I thought one way or another it was going to, but like I said, went the full 15 minutes. Good for Lionheart. Not sure what his future holds, and I'm really not sure what Ryan Spann does from here either. But you know, good for Smith. Good for Smith, and hopefully Spann can rebound off of this. And like I said, figure out what he needs to do because, like I said, he was landing shots and stuff, and I guess. Obviously Anthony Smith has some good toughness, but he's not a guy who can't be finished. So,
No.
it was a good fight nonetheless. Very close, very competitive.
Yeah, but in the uh, what you said about Anthony Smith, I think he looked pretty good. I mean, obviously, like you said, not the old Anthony Smith, but he didn't look bad at all. He looked competitive in there with a guy like Span, who he knows can finish him at any given moment with his power. But Smith stood in there, even absorbed. I mean, really, I thought his orbital was broken. Uh, no idea how he finished the fight, but he did, and ultimately did enough to win the fight. Third round was pretty close. I think we kind of differed in opinion here. It was real close. I think Span put on a little bit of pressure towards the end, but I think ultimately Lionheart did enough in the first few minutes in the third. It was really a razor thin decision.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And like I said, good fight, and we'll see where both these fighters go from here. And moving on to the main event, we have Max Holloway and Chan Sung Jung. Very good fight. For what it was worth. I mean, no, it was actually very competitive. Like I said, it was a Korean zombie kind of fight and a Max Holloway kind of fight. Obviously they both. Max won via knockout pretty early in the third round after a flurry. Um, bum rush by the Korean zombie. But what was a very, like I said, very very competitive fight. So Max Holloway probably the slowest start I've ever seen him do, and I think it really came down to just I guess the respect he has for Korean Zombie, and obviously he recognizes his power. And I said maybe the Maui fires were just like we're kind of sitting heavy on him, and he was just in a different headspace than what he usually is. He's not in the headspace where he's like, oh, I'm just gonna just go out and strike this guy. I really don't care. He'd like say he may have been obviously just more careful. I think he was a very respectful version of Max all the way around. Not to say he's usually disrespectful, but usually in his fighting style, he is very disrespectful to other fighters because he makes them look like fools whenever in boxing matches. But this fight was very competitive. Korean Zombie obviously had more power than Holloway. I know a lot of people are saying Holloway was kind of getting rocked, but I don't think he was. I think Max Holloway still has that chin. Obviously, Zombie was landing some tough shots on him, but I think Max was just carefully retreating, doing his thing before he got rocked like 3 or 4 times in a row. But at the end of the day, Korean Zombie, like I said, bum rushed him in the third round. Live by the sword, die by the sword, I guess. And it was a nice counter by Max, sat Korean Zombie down, and Korean Zombie called it a career after a long and very storied career. I know the record isn't all that impressive about being 17-8, but I mean, obviously kind of a Nate Diaz style fighter, if you will. Like I said, the record doesn't really tell the story. Like I said, this dude just always put up very good fights, and so yeah, it was a very great fight. Like I said, the crowd was into it. I was into it, and like I say retired. Everyone gave him the respect he deserved. So good for Korean Zombie, good for Max Holloway. Happy retirement to Chang Sung Jung.
Yeah, man. Not just a very good fight, but also like you kind of hit on a very emotional fight on both sides. Obviously Max being from Hawaii, them dealing with all those wildfires right now. Once he got on the mic, really was pushing for people to keep them in their thoughts. Being from Hawaii, he's proud to be from there. Um, Chan Sung Jung, you going into it, you kind of felt like it was. a retirement fight, and the UFC kept hinting at it, kept hinting at it over and over, and
Mhm.
I just think it was pretty evident that it was. So, um, really cool moment for Korean Zombie coming out of the octagon. Uh,
Mhm.
Max Holloway, of course, being uber respectful, like you mentioned, helping him into his chair, giving him like a send off. Uh, man, you how can anybody dislike Max, dude? Max is awesome. Uh,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely.
but yeah, really emotional. Had grown men probably around the world kind of tearing up a little bit. Korean Zombie did. Like Zach mentioned, record not the most impressive, but he's a fan favorite for a reason. Uh, just anytime he fought, you knew it was just going to be an absolute war. Um, I do think it was kind of a fitting ending for him, being that they call him a zombie for a reason. His chin was made of steel. He would take damage just to he would receive damage just to give you damage, and ultimately his chin gave out, and that's why he was contemplate retirement in the first place. Um, so fitting in for zombie, but man, hate to see it. Hate to see him retire. But ultimately, great for him, great for his family. He'll forever be a fan favorite in the UFC. Hope the
Yeah,
best for him.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And as I'm sure we'll see him in corners every here and then now and then. And being a coach, that's just what he does. But yeah, overall, very good card. I'm happy I woke up for it. Like I said, I fell asleep during some of the fights, but it is what it is. For what it's worth, Max Holloway and Chen Sung Jung got fight of the night. Tafa and Porter got performance of the night. All right, let me rephrase that. The fight of Tafa and Porter got performance of the night, or the award was given to Tafa. And another performance of the night was given to Mikhail Lestashek. $50,000 bonuses for Alessashek, Tafa, and both Holloway and Korean Zombie. So good for them. I think I don't know who gives out the awards, but I feel like they got it right on all accords. So
Was it
overall,
Dana?
great card. I don't know. It's probably a what's a committee, if you will.
Probably so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Dana has something to say about it. Don't get me wrong, but I doubt he himself says, "Oh, that was a good fight. Here you go." At the end of the day, it's you know like these fighters deserve it, kind of thing.
Oh
But
yeah,
good stuff all the way around. If you'd like to, we can move on to college football week 0.
yeah, man.
All right, let's move on to it.
Stick out
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely lived up to its name too. How many games were there? Like 7 FBS
6. Let me see.
games.
I got the scoreboard pulled up
One, two,
here.
three, four, five, 6, 7.
Yep,
Uh,
7. Mm,
yep. That's some very close games. I know the Louisiana Tech game ended up being a lot closer than what it should have. Um, Hold on a second. I got ESPN up and like like loud advertisement just happened because I'm just going through the scores. There we go. Yeah, the Louisiana Tech game ended up being closer than what it should have. Florida
you,
International, come on, bro. I mean, they had a 14. I'm not sure if I know they had 17 points in the first half and then just fell apart after that in true sicko fashion. The Hawaii
you were
Vanderbilt
Florida
game came
International.
down. Yeah, FIU. Yep. The Hawaii Vanderbilt game, it kind of came down to the last minute. Vanderbilt had to punt the ball away to Hawaii, who was just charging back with all kinds of momentum, and then Hawaii, yeah, they kind of lit themselves on fire through an interception at the last second, and Vanderbilt starts off 1-0. I hope they enjoy it for for what it's worth. So I mean, like I said, some pretty close games. I didn't get to catch the Ohio San Diego State game. I know we watched the UMass New Mexico State game for a little bit, and that was kind of a shocker. I mean, what's crazy is that 48 points were scored in the fourth quarter of that game. 48 points, but that's the two worst teams. I don't know what else you can expect there. And Navy Notre Dame, that was a very good showing by Notre Dame, better than what USC had to put up against San Jose State. Which USC San Jose State scored 28 points, and it was a 21-14 game at half. Um,
Yeah,
USC
obviously
pulled
we
away.
had concerns for USC. a few weeks ago when we did our US or our Pac-12 breakdown, and it's the same thing I said. I said Lincoln Riley has always never been able to field a good defense, even when he was at Oklahoma, and defense was a staple of Oklahoma football teams. It's more of the same thing, man. Like at some point, I saw it today. Somebody said the reason USC is going to miss the playoffs is not because of Lincoln Riley. It's not because of Caleb Williams. It's because Alex Grinch was not fired during the offseason. And I have to wholeheartedly agree. At some point, Lincoln Riley has to say, enough with friendships. Something has to change. If you're a
Yeah.
UFC fan, if you're me, I'm
Yeah.
loving it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And like I said, we'll see where they go from there. And a decent show for Caleb Williams, putting on his, trying to pad his Heisman resume. Wasn't quite able to eclipse 300 yards, but 4 touchdowns is a pretty good look. Oh, nice. This time ended up finishing with 95 yards for Notre Dame. That's what I like. I had his over and the touchdown score, and he did good. So let's go. Actually, I did very well on my bets. I think the only bet I got wrong was the New Mexico State spread. But for like the 5 or 6 bets I put up, I did fairly well for a sicko week. But yeah, some very good game. What game did we not talk about? We're missing one here. Are UTEP and Jacksonville State? Did we mention
yeah,
that one yet?
Navy, oh, we did hit Notre Dame. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I heard, or at least from what I was seeing on Twitter, I know everyone was absolutely like flipping their lid for Hardison. Is that his name? Gavin Hardison. They're saying he's
Oh,
just like, I'm sorry.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I just saw everyone on Twitter was like, this dude's the definition of a gunslinger. I wish I saw the game, wish I could see what they're talking about. I mean, I see he has 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown, but I do see his average yards per pass. I say yards per pass, but yards per completion, 7.2 yards. So, I mean, I guess I can kind of see, what they're saying about him. But, yeah, some good, I guess, I hate to call these good games, but I think it's just
Mhm.
more or less good. Good for the soul. Good to see these college
Football
football
back.
teams back in action. Yes, and like I said, I was only able to like really truly watch like 2 of the games, 3 of the games. But yeah, yeah. Like I said, just say, I mean, God, football's back. Football's back, man. It's gonna be a good time. Next week is never it really gets crazy. Matter of fact, I got this Bo Nix advertisement for the Working Ducks that says Bodacious on here. And you seen
Mhm.
that building or the 2 buildings that has like Bo Nix on it? You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? Like
Yes.
one has his arm and the other is him.
Yeah.
It's just like people are taking pictures of different angles of it, and it like makes no sense.
Never forget that Bo Nix had to go to the Pac-12 to succeed.
Mm. I don't know. He was what, Auburn?
Yes.
Yeah. You see, I remember that. I don't know. Yeah, he went to Oregon 2 seasons ago. Not this season, obviously, but the season before.
This past season was his first year in Eugene.
Right. So not this season, but the season, last season.
Yeah, yeah, last
He
season.
transferred from Auburn to Oregon and played the whole season at Oregon.
Correct.
Right. And then you saw that. I know I sent you the video. I forgot who it was. It may have been UMass and New Mexico State, where the quarterback, his helmet turned around
Yes, and he
180
still threw
degrees and
it.
he still threw it. Yeah, college
Which look,
football is so back.
it's not the greatest look, but
Yeah, in his defense, and like you told me, if you know there's going to be a penalty, like screw it, I mean, who cares? Because you can end up being, number one on all Sports Center top 10. So I mean,
yeah, like one nice
you
like
know,
a offsides, even if it's a stupid throw, just go ahead and make it. Who cares?
damn it, might as well. Yeah, it truly does not matter.
So
But yeah, just overall glad college football is back. Did you have any other notes you want to say about this week's slew of games? Like I said, I mean, I know not much action, and I know the action that was there really wasn't the highest quality, but like I said, it's
yeah,
just
I'd
it's good
like
to have.
to see some of these teams with better competition. Obviously, Notre Dame, Navy's probably going to be one of the worst teams in the country again this year. Same with like San Jose State. San Jose State's quarterback really wasn't bad though. I got to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was better than that quarterback for US that USC got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Um,
guess. Yeah, he's already the Heisman frontrunner though.
if y'all don't know, I'm not a big Caleb Williams fan.
It happens.
So, Um, but other than that, like, no, I think it's just good to have college football back. But man, this week wasn't a great representation, or maybe it was because this is what college football is all about. But
Mm-hmm.
it could have been better. I wish it would have been more competitive games.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, that's just college football. At the end of the day, statistically speaking, the college football is probably the highest variance sport out there. Just because at the end of the day, how many of these people are professionals? None. So it's just such a high variance sport, and so you're going to get some very very weird results. I mean, at the end of the day,
Oh
um,
yeah,
Navy could have beat Notre Dame by one. If it was slightly different weather, you really just don't know. And like maybe if Navy was playing at home, if it wasn't a game in Ireland. So I mean, you just never know. Like I said, I mean, just the fact that the game was played in Ireland, just like I said, creates these high variance situations where, like, I
oh
mean, who in
without
the
a,
world thought that Notre Dame was going to win? I'm sorry.
I said oh without a doubt.
Yeah, and like I mean, who I personally wouldn't have thought Notre Dame would have won by more than what USC won. Um, but like I said, that just goes to show. Do I think Notre Dame's a better team than USC?
Yes.
No, but I mean that remains to be seen. So we'll see how. Like that's kind of like how you said. I guess we'll see how these teams do. I said Vanderbilt actually did honestly worse than I thought they were going to because I'm pretty sure last year they blew out Hawaii. But like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, Hawaii was playing for the state of Hawaii and all the fires and stuff. So
Yep.
I say you truly never know. One day someone's going to
Vanderbilt
wake
also
up
lost
feeling
their
well one day.
quarterback, so
Oh, he died.
no, he
Oh,
transferred.
well, you.
So
Oh, it's like
basically,
he said it like you're like, oh, Vanderbilt lost their quarterback because I just got through
well, I
talking about
meant
the
from last
fires. I
year
was like,
when
oh
they
wow.
blew Hawaii out. They lost their quarterback from
Oh,
last year. Yeah, Mike Wright.
who who what when? Anyways, that'll wrap it up for today's episode. Um, unless you have any closing thoughts, Peyton. What? Sorry, go ahead.
Should we explain that to the people?
No, no. I'm sure most people know now if you say what and it's a setup, kind of like a don't know how to explain it anyways. But
No, I don't have any closing thoughts. Just
of course
excited
you
for
don't.
football today. Saints are
Smooth
playing right
brain.
now, so I haven't checked that score. So
Me
let me
neither.
check
Well,
it.
I can't watch it on TV because guess what? We don't get Fox. And whenever we try and stream it like on a different app, because we have DirecTV, right? So we don't get the Fox channel. It's one of those channels that like backed out of their deal with DirecTV. So it's like, okay, cool. We can watch it on the app. Wrong, because it's blacked out because it's in our area. So it's like, okay, like
Mm,
how do you watch it?
yeah.
But I guess it is what it is.
The
I don't know.
Saints and the Texans are tied at 7.
Sickos, sickos. No,
But
no.
I don't think Derek Carr played.
Okay. What's that have to do with anything? Jameis Winston was the starter last year.
James Wilson started this
Oh, the
game.
Texans were winning at the end of the first quarter.
Yep.
Oh, great. Everyone thinks the Steelers are going to be Super Bowl champs this year. They're undefeated in the preseason.
Dude, okay, am I crazy? Or did the preseason used to be 4 games?
You are correct. Yeah, well, that's. Ooh, what the heck was that? I'm sorry. Um, no, you're correct. But if you remember, I think a couple years ago they shortened the preseason and added a regular season game.
Oh, so this is the first year that it's 3-game preseason?
No,
Or they just added the 1 game this year, didn't they?
no, no.
Man, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh, such a,
Yeah, no, and then we'll wrap up the show like that. And that's a good segue into our next episode. We will be giving our thoughts on some NFL teams. We don't know if we're going to cover a conference yet or certain divisions, but anyways, we'll have our thoughts behind it. And obviously, NFL is a little bit, I say a little bit easier to predict, but I think at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm not sure if we'll more or less be giving predictions, but more or less, I guess a better word would be outlooks for these teams. Like rather than saying we think the Bills are going to go like 12-5, we may more or less say like, okay, we think the Bills are going to be good in this area, and I think in their division they'll be okay. But obviously, like linebackers, there's still some like areas that need to be worked on.
And
May
quarterback.
say yeah, okay. May say stuff like that rather than college football. I know we were more or less concerned with their record and like why their record would be like that. But with the NFL, I think we'll just try and obviously cover the bigger names and um and like kind of how we did for college football. I guess do strengths and weaknesses, but we'll more or less say I guess focus on the areas that might get them in trouble rather because I mean NFL. I'm sorry, it's pretty easy, but like most people understand that the Chiefs, we don't need to spend all day talking about Mahomes because that just doesn't make everyone knows that.
Yeah. Or Kelsey. I
So
mean, you know who Kelsey and Mahomes are.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, this not going to be, I don't know, but I don't know how we'll do that. I don't know if we'll do it by conference, by division, or like I said, if we'll start from who we think the worst teams will be and work our way up to the best teams. But even that can cause some variance between us. I don't know. We'll see. We may just do the AFC, see how we feel, then do NFC the day before. Yeah, the day before NFL starts, which is next Thursday.
Yep.
Chiefs
On
and
Thursday.
Lions. All right, good deal. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in as always. We appreciate it. Thank you for yeah, so on and so forth.
Yep. Thank y'all for listening again. We really do appreciate it. If y'all enjoy listening, please share the show, promote us, get us bigger. We would really appreciate it.
Get us bigger. Pause.
Who knows? We might have a giveaway in the
What?
future if we get real big.
So what do you mean get us bigger? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Where you close at? Where you close at?
Where you close at?
But yeah, absolutely. Please share if you do like this. Obviously, any kind of support is always appreciated by us. Just a couple guys having fun. Like, so if you like listen to us, yeah, let other people know. Word of mouth is obviously the best word. Yeah, and we'll obviously greatly appreciated. With that, guess that's it.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Yep. Peace.